You close your eyes. The world disappears. Your body sinks into the bed, still and quiet. But something else begins. Your mind doesn't switch off. It drifts. It detaches. And in that quiet darkness, something strange happens. You leave. Not your body, but your awareness. Your consciousness starts to do something you can't fully explain. One minute you're lying in bed, the next you're flying, running, falling, talking to people you've never met in places you've never been. Sometimes it's nonsense. Other times it feels more real than real life. So where does your consciousness actually go when you sleep? Most people think of sleep as shutting down, like the body is recharging and the mind is offline. But that's not true. In fact, during sleep, especially during dreams, your brain becomes more active than it was during the day. Your eyes don't move, but under the lids they dart wildly. Your muscles are paralyzed, but your mind is lit up like a city at night. It's not just rest. It's not just memory cleanup. It's something else. Because if dreams were just brain static, why do they feel like lived experiences? Why do you wake up sweating from a nightmare that never happened? Why do you remember a dream from 10 years ago, but not what you had for lunch last week? During REM sleep, when most dreaming happens, your visual cortex lights up like a Christmas tree. Your emotional centers go into overdrive. Your brain literally creates entire worlds, complete with people, places, and situations that feel absolutely real while you're in them. Meanwhile, the logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, basically checks out, which explains why you don't question why you're suddenly having dinner with your third-grade teacher and Abraham Lincoln on the moon. But this raises a massive question. If your brain is more active during certain parts of sleep, then what exactly is consciousness? Is it really just brain activity? Because if so, shouldn't you be more conscious during dreams, not less? Here's something even weirder. Your brain produces a substance called DMT during sleep. If you've never heard of DMT, it's one of the most powerful psychedelics known to exist. People who take synthetic DMT report profound spiritual experiences. Meeting entities, traveling to other dimensions, accessing what feels like universal knowledge. And your brain makes this stuff every night. Some researchers believe this flood of natural DMT might explain why dreams can feel so vivid, meaningful, and sometimes even spiritual. But it also forces us to ask, are dreams just hallucinations caused by brain chemicals, or is your consciousness actually going somewhere else while your body sleeps? I know this sounds wild, but stay with me. Throughout human history, across every culture, people have reported dreams that accurately predicted future events. I'm not talking about vague feelings or coincidences. I'm talking about specific details that later happened exactly as dreamed. Abraham Lincoln famously dreamed of his own assassination days before it happened. But regular people experience this too, dreaming about an old friend and then bumping into them the next day, or seeing events unfold exactly as they appeared in a dream. If dreams are just random brain activity, how do we explain these experiences? Is it possible that during sleep, consciousness somehow steps outside the normal flow of time? Now let's talk about something truly bizarre. Sleep paralysis. Many people watching have probably experienced this. You wake up but you can't move. You're fully conscious but your body is still paralyzed. And then comes the terrifying part, you feel a presence in the room. Sometimes you even see shadowy figures or feel pressure on your chest. The scientific explanation is that your mind wakes up before your body does. But here's the strange part. People from completely different backgrounds with different beliefs and cultures report seeing the same things during sleep paralysis. The same shadow people, the same sense of dread, the same feeling of a presence. Why would unrelated people around the world hallucinate identical experiences? Could sleep paralysis be a glitch? A moment where we briefly perceive something that's normally filtered out by our waking consciousness? Let's get even deeper with lucid dreaming. Some people can actually become conscious inside their dreams. They realize they're dreaming and can control what happens. This isn't imagination. It feels like actually being there in a world just as real as this one, except the normal rules don't apply. Brain scans of lucid dreamers show that the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-awareness, lights up during these experiences. This means you're actually conscious while dreaming, just in a different way. But why would evolution give us this ability? If dreams are just the brain cleaning house, why would we be able to become aware inside them? It's like discovering you can suddenly become conscious during digestion and control how your stomach breaks down food. Unless dreams aren't just random brain activity. Unless consciousness isn't what we think it is. Have you ever had a dream that felt like it lasted for hours, or even days, only to wake up and realize just minutes have passed? This isn't just your imagination playing tricks. Time genuinely works differently in dreams. Scientists who study lucid dreamers have found that time perception inside dreams doesn't match real-world time. Some experiments show that dreamers can experience what feels like hours in just minutes of actual sleep. Think about what this means. Your consciousness, whatever it is, isn't bound by normal time. When separated from waking reality, it operates by completely different rules. This lines up with something quantum physicists have been suggesting for years. That time isn't a fixed, universal constant. It's relative, malleable, and might even be an illusion created by consciousness itself. Now I want to introduce you to one of the most mind-bending ideas in modern physics, the multiverse theory. It suggests that infinite versions of reality exist simultaneously. Every possible variation of your life, of history, of physical laws, all existing in parallel. This isn't just science fiction. Many respected physicists take this idea seriously, and it might explain one of the strangest aspects of dreaming, the incredible detail and consistency of dream worlds. Have you ever dreamed of places you've never been but that feel completely real and detailed? Or had recurring dreams of the same unknown location with the same layout and features each time? Some researchers propose that dreams might not always be pure imagination. They might be glimpses into these parallel realities, moments where your consciousness briefly shifts into another version of existence. I know how that sounds, but consider this. The brain doesn't store dream memories the same way it stores waking memories. That's why most dreams fade within minutes of waking up. But why would the brain work so hard to erase these experiences? One theory is that remembering all your dreams would blur the line between realities. If you had perfectly clear memories of all your dream experiences, how would you distinguish them from waking life? The forgetting might be a protective mechanism to keep your consciousness anchored in this reality. But sometimes dreams stick with us for years, even decades. Almost as if certain dream experiences are too significant for the brain to discard. Have you ever died in a dream? There's that old myth that if you die in a dream, you die in real life. That's obviously not true, but dying in dreams raises fascinating questions about consciousness. Many people report that dream death feels real, the sensation of leaving their body, seeing things from above, or entering a different state of being. And when they wake up, they often feel profoundly changed, as if they've experienced something meaningful. The similarities between dream experiences and near-death experiences are striking. People who've clinically died and been revived report floating above their bodies, moving through tunnels of light, meeting deceased loved ones, experiences remarkably similar to certain types of dreams. Could dreams be preparing us for the ultimate shift in consciousness that happens at death? Are they training wheels for whatever comes next? Let me share something really interesting about deep sleep. It's chemically similar to certain states of enlightenment described by meditation masters. During the deepest phases of sleep, your brain produces delta waves, the slowest brain waves possible while still being alive. Long-term meditators can sometimes produce these same waves while fully conscious. They describe this state as one where the sense of self dissolves, where consciousness expands beyond the body, where time and space become meaningless. In other words, what happens naturally during deep sleep might be the same state that spiritual seekers have been trying to reach consciously for thousands of years. This raises a profound possibility. What if consciousness isn't generated by the brain? What if the brain is more like a receiver, a biological antenna that tunes into consciousness that exists independent of our bodies? When you sleep, perhaps your brain isn't creating consciousness or shutting it down. Maybe it's just changing the channel. This would explain why dreams can feel more real than reality itself. Why do people sometimes access information they shouldn't know? Why time works differently? Why does the experience of consciousness continue even when the logical mind is turned off? If this sounds familiar to you, it's because versions of this idea have existed in spiritual traditions for thousands of years. Many cultures believe that during sleep, something essential about us, call it soul, spirit, or consciousness, temporarily leaves the body and travels elsewhere. Modern science is just starting to catch up with what ancient people somehow knew. I'm not saying we have all the answers. Far from it. The truth is, despite all our technological advances, consciousness remains one of the biggest mysteries in science. We don't even have a unified definition of what consciousness actually is, let alone a complete understanding of what happens to it during sleep. But what's becoming increasingly clear is that sleep is far more than just biological maintenance. It's a different state of being, possibly a different dimension of experience. Think about this. You spend about a third of your life asleep. That's roughly 25 years for the average person. 25 years spent in an altered state of consciousness that science still doesn't fully understand. For most of human history, people gave enormous significance to dreams. They were seen as messages from beyond, glimpses of the future, or journeys of the soul. Only in recent times have we reduced them to mere brain activity, random firings of neurons as the mind sorts through the day's events. But as we've seen, that explanation falls short. It doesn't account for precognitive dreams, shared dream experiences, the consistency of dream worlds, or the different rules of physics and time that apply in dreams. So where does your consciousness go when you sleep? The honest answer is that nobody knows for certain. But the evidence suggests it goes somewhere far more interesting than we've been led to believe. Your consciousness might be traveling between dimensions, accessing different layers of reality, or tapping into aspects of existence that are normally filtered out during waking life. Or maybe, just maybe, when you sleep, your consciousness isn't going anywhere at all. Maybe it's expanding, releasing its tight focus on this particular reality and spreading out to touch something much larger. After all, if consciousness is fundamental to the universe, not just a byproduct of brain activity but something more essential, then sleep might be when we reconnect with that larger field of awareness. What I know for sure is that what happens when you close your eyes at night is not simple, not fully explained, and potentially one of the most profound experiences we have as humans. The ancient Egyptians believed that during sleep, the soul left the body and traveled to other realms. Indigenous cultures around the world have similar beliefs about dreams being journeys of the spirit. Modern science has dismissed these ideas as superstition, but maybe the ancients understood something about consciousness that we're only beginning to rediscover. Sleep might be more than just rest for the body. It might be a doorway to deeper levels of reality, a chance for consciousness to explore its true nature beyond the physical world. Every night when you close your eyes, you might be doing more than just sleeping. You might be going home. If you've stuck with me through this mind-bending journey, don't forget to leave your thoughts on what you think about what actually happens when you go to sleep. Where does your consciousness go? So, sweet dreams, or should I say safe travels?